So Vincent kept telling me I need to make these shorts videos where they're like have to be under a minute long and the camera has to be vertical like this. So I finally did one and I made this necklace. Now it was crazy fun, but it had to go too fast for you guys to see exactly how each pattern went. Literally, I made up every one of these patterns on the spot for the necklace with almost no complication. A couple things I changed my mind and tweaked a few different ways in the middle of it, but mostly I just went with it. These are not hard patterns. You can do this. But some of them are so fun that I got to show you how they were made because I want to do them again. They're just super fun. So let's do this. First, you need a paint sploshed table from multiple other projects. And you need this. Now in the original video, I had this as the main piece, but it felt kind of large and overwhelming. I wanted people to focus more on these guys. Plus this had some of the cool colors in that stone. Either way, whatever you prefer. No right or wrong, that's the whole point. So let's do some of these fun pieces. First, where do you start? You can be overwhelmed when there's no rules and all possibilities. Where do you even begin to start? If you're a hippie, you could do all the designs and patterns and colors ever, but I like to keep it more focused. So I'll narrow it to a few colors that work nicely together that I like. In this case, if you can tell, the colors I chose were, you can see it better on the table, blue accents, antique copper metal, which is the reddish brown, and then also some brown beads, and black, whether that's black beads or black gunmetal also. And these colors just go great together. So this is kind of a steampunk, funky look, but pick colors that you like. The other thing that helped a lot was square wire. This is 18 gauge square wire. It really is a lot more fun to work with than round wire in so many different ways. It's a little more expensive, but it's so worth it, and you don't need a lot of it to do these pieces. Most of these pieces I did with just maybe 1 foot of this stuff. This is one of the coolest pieces that I just came up with as I was doing it, and it's so easy. These could be earrings, this could be a pendant, but it just goes like this. Take any stack of beads where you like the pattern. Take about 1.5 feet to be safe, but you probably won't need that much. This is basically 1/2 meter of the square wire. Put your stack of beads right in the middle of the wire and then give it a hard crimp against the beads. Now make sure they're as tight as you can get them before you do the second crimp. Pull it tight as you're crimping it. They're still gonna come loose again, but I'll show you how to keep making them tighter. Get your round nose pliers and grab it in the thicker part right there on the base like that. Now hold it tight, hold the wire with your fingers and pull it around the pliers like that. That gives you a nice loop, but then go further, roll it, grab the stack and roll it with the pliers. Pull them out, see if that loop is the size you want. I want it smaller. So grab it a little bit on the smaller end and roll it tighter. And get your flat nose and give it a little squeeze to make sure it's flat. And then do the same thing on this side. And if you flip it over like that, you can do it with the same motion and they'll come out as opposites, just the way you want. Now see how they're coming loose again? That's okay. This is where we tighten it up. Squeeze them tight and roll. And see, now they're a lot tighter and you can get them as tight as you want. Now decide, get these straight, get everything straight, make sure they're the size you want. I'm gonna pull this one out a little bit. You can always undo it like that. Good. Now, holding these tight, bend straight this way like that on kind of a 45-degree angle, and do the same thing with this one. Like that. All right, now, all I'm gonna do is zigzag this and then wrap it around this loop, and this one's gonna zigzag this way, wrap around that loop. That's it, that's the pattern. And you get this funky shape like that. Now, instead of just doing straight zigzags, I decided to go with a long straight piece, and then zigzag at the end, and then do the opposite, going this way, long this way, and then zigzag. And then I just wrapped a couple times around the loop, cut off the sharp end, tucked it into the loop, and that's it. Now here's one more thing. If you want the wire to be nice and straight, play with it gently. You don't want to scratch it, so go gentle and careful, but crimp it in places where it's not straight and try to get it really straight. So I'm coming out about this far, and now I want to do my first little zigzag. Bend it hard against the pliers like that, and then I'm going to grab it right here. Careful that the pieces don't roll. Bend it back. Now look at that. That's not a sharp corner. That's more like a loop. It's a curve. That's okay. I'm going to bend it back. And look, I don't even have enough to get there. That's okay. I mean, I don't have enough to do another zigzag, but we will have enough. You'll see. Do one more and one more. Another thing you'll notice, these are not uniform. Some of the parts are a little longer or shorter. That's okay too, because we're just being kind of chaotic, which makes it more fun. Now, to get these round parts out, we're going to pinch it again. We're going to use the wider part of these these flat nose, like this. Ready? Pinch it like that. It bends it back, but it also makes a sharper point. Watch. Now we'll go right here. Now see how that's a sharper point? Now we can bend it tighter. Now that has a sharper point. Bend it tighter and bend this one tighter. It's getting stuck on this other wire. You don't want that to happen. Get that wire out of the way. And do the same one with this. See how that's kind of a curve? We're going to flatten it. Grab it right there like that and flatten it. Then we're going to flatten this side. Grab it right there. Flatten it. We can do it all the way down. Before you decide where you want to put each part, just get your corners sharp if you want to make it like this. Get all your corners nice and sharp. Then you can bend them tighter. And look at that. It still lines up right there. Now, if it didn't line up, I would just bend them more back and forth until I got them where I wanted them to be. So it's not like an exact science. It's more like you're sculpting it and changing it as you go. How far out do you want it to be? It's totally up to you. There's no rule. I want that about right there, right where you get it, where you want it. Make it real tight. Pinch it and come around. Sometimes I'll even pinch it like this carefully because I don't want to scratch it. And then I'll wrap around a few times. I don't want to go up so high that I cover the loop, but I'll go a little more than halfway up, get my cutters, get in there carefully, just cut the one wire. You don't want to cut the other parts. And then flat nose, pinch that little guy in to the bowl we just made, and then turn and pinch him in, down. Boom, one side done. Other side we do the exact same thing. Notice even here it wants to curve. We don't want you to curve. We want you to come straight like that. And we'll straighten you out as much as we need. That one I kind of let it curve a little. That's okay. So now we're going to start right here and bam. Zigzag. Look at that. Look, they're all curvy. I want them straighter. Well, now go back and straighten them. Now look at that. It looks like a wild creature. It doesn't even look like this one that I originally got it from. Look at the difference. This is more uniform and skinny, and this one is more out there, like it looks like a frog's foot or something. Doesn't matter. You do what you like, and you do what's fun for you. So I'm going to make this one even weirder just to show you it doesn't matter. I'm going to bend this part right here. And then I'm going to mirror it right here. So now it's even weirder, right? This is super fun. Not only does it have that big hole in the middle, but it also has a hole going straight through two of the corners. But you don't need to have the hole in the middle. You could have a flat bead, any bead you can do this pattern with. They also sell this one, which is the same idea, but it's round. And again, you don't even need a hole in the middle. You could just, as long as there's a hole going straight through the flat part of it. Now make sure you have a bead that fits, but also make sure your wire fits both the bead and this metal part. So then you just thread it through. Oh, and you want to take about a foot or a third of a meter worth of wire. This one was a really tight one. I had to really wiggle it to get it all the way to the middle, but it did work in the end. Now, I find you can do endless patterns if you just do this one thing. Get a piece of wire about this length, have something in the middle, have the wire going through it, and then make a bend and a bend. Oh, I cracked that one. That was fun. Look at that. Powerful wire. So bend, bend, and then go backwards and make a loop on each end. And then just have fun with each strand doing the same thing, and eventually each strand will wrap around one of the loops and tuck in the sharp end. There's so many different patterns you can do. In this case, I just did the simplest thing ever, which was just follow the shape of the piece I was wrapping around. So I just had this come straight out like that, and then I just had it bend like that. Just mimic that corner a little bit more exaggerated. And then I did the thing where I made a sharper corner right there by pinching these two sides like that, and look, that's it. There's my little sharp corner. Look, I don't like that little bend right there, so I'm going to straighten that out. Bam. And get it about where I want it and wrap. Boom. And technically you don't even need a whole foot. Like I was saying, that you could do this with like 8 inches would be plenty. Let's see how much left over I have. But I find it's always better to take a little extra wire and be safe than run out of wire, and then you got to do the whole thing over sometimes, or settle for a different design. Voila. This one, I literally did the same thing. I just lined up the same pattern of beads, but then reversed it. I put the wire through, one piece of wire through both sides, made a loop and a loop. Loops ended up on opposite corners like that, which made it cooler. And then I closed off one by wrapping it. The other one I was stuck on the wrong side, so I just came back like that and wrapped it. And there it is. That one's pretty easy. This was the same thing, except this side I decided to put beads on, and this side I decided to do the squiggly. So this is actually the same exact pattern as this, except I only did the squiggly on one side, and the other side I did it straight and added more beads, but different beads. So this is still the middle. It's bigger, more accentuated beads, and this is the more subservient, smaller beads, but they all kind of complement each other. Super fun. And then I just happen to have, you can get these gears, you can get a whole bunch of them in bulk. You don't actually have to take apart a clock, but you should tell people you did. And these are antique copper, and these are like some supposedly greenish patinaed copper. So that kind of added more of the bluish element to it. And so I layered them, which is kind of fun. Use black gunmetal jump rings, black gunmetal clasp. Now I ran out of black gunmetal jump rings, so I threw this silver in just to attach it, but really I'm going to replace that with black gunmetal because silver is not one of our options, and silver is a cold metal. Black can go either way, it can go with, it's kind of universal, but I don't like mixing antique copper, which is a very warm metal, with silver, which is a very cold, wintry metal. All right, that's it. Oh, and then when I lined them up in the pattern, I made sure they didn't make sense. Look at this. This has a gear first. This has a large piece first. I made 2 of each of these, but I put them in totally different places, just like I made 2 of each of these and put them in totally different places. And then this one and this one are just one of a kind. So absolutely nothing makes sense. And yet it all is so crazy fun together. Now go out and make something even more crazy and make me proud. So have fun. It's Papa and Baby. Pretty soon I'm going to have enough handmade necklaces to be like Mr. T.